What's poppin', dogs? Mr. Allen here with one of my favorite combos. We got some algebra mixed in with geometry here. We got to solve for x and y in each one of these examples. First one here, I've got an equilateral triangle, right? All three sides are congruent, which means that all three angles are also congruent. And we have a perimeter of this triangle of 54. So let's see here. What could we do? Well, in an equilateral triangle, all my sides are congruent and all my angles are congruent. What's the sum of all the angles in a triangle? It's 180 degrees. And all three of these angles have to be the same, yes? So if I were to divide that by 3, I'd get 60 degrees for one of those angles. So this has to be 60 degrees right here. Ayo, I can set up an equation with that. So let's do 4x minus 20 equals 60. Add my 20 to both sides. We get 4x equals 80. Divide by 4, and I get x equals 20. Boom. First one done. Well, halfway done. Solve for x. Now we got to solve for y. Well, we said all the sides are congruent, right? I got 4y minus 6 equals one of these sides. The perimeter is 54. Wait, the perimeter is 54. Couldn't I divide this guy by 3 for each one of those sides, giving me 18? So each one of these side lengths is going to be 18, and boom diggity, I got myself another equation I've set up. If I were to have given you, say, like this side is 4y minus 6 and this is like 2y plus 10, I would set them equal to each other because the sides are congruent, right? So there's different scenarios that can happen here pending the information that we give you. So don't think that every time I just divide by 3 if it's equilateral. It just depends on what we're working with. All right, so let's go ahead and solve this equation here. I'm going to need some, let's do it right up here. We'll go 4y minus 6 equals 18. So add 6. We get 4y equals, what is that, 24. Divide by 4. We get y equals 6. 6 for y. X is 20. We've solved for x and y in this one. Now we're ready to move on to the next example. This time, I have an isosceles triangle, which is two sides that are congruent. And if my two sides are congruent, that would mean that these two angles right here are congruent. I'm going to mark that right there, right there. I can set those two equal to each other. So let's get 3x plus 2 is equal to 35. So now let's see. I got to subtract 2. So you get 3x equals 33. Divide by 3, and we get x equals 11. Boom. Halfway done with that one. What about that 4y plus 10? It's just that angle right there chilling up here at C, which isn't congruent to the other two necessarily. It's not in this case. But what can I do to figure that out? Well, if this is this is 35, then this has to be 35, right? And we said that all the angles in a triangle have to add up to 180. We used that in the last one. So these two, 35 plus 35 is 70. And if I did 180 minus 70, I'd get 110 left over for that angle right there. So let's set it equal to 110. We get a different color so it doesn't get mixed in there. We got 4y plus 10 equals 10. There we go. 110. So subtract 10. So we get 4y equals 100. Divide by 4. And get y equals 25. You guys know what's funnier than 24? 25. SpongeBob, anybody? Great show. Okay, there we go, man. We solved for x and y in each one. Quick recap. Equilateral triangle. All my sides are congruent. All my angles are congruent. Each angle has to be 60 degrees because the total is 180 degrees. In any triangle, if all three are congruent, they all have to be 60. Cool? Awesome. Isosceles triangle. Two sides are congruent, and those two angles that are opposite those sides will have to be congruent as well. And that's what we use to set up and solve that one. So a couple dope problems. Make sure that your algebra is on point, even if you're in geometry, because we love throwing algebra in any one of those topics to, keep you on edge there with the algebra. Keep those skills fine-tuned and ready to rock and roll. Alrighty, dogs. Have a wonderful day.